I never thought I'd have to fight for my son's laughter, and then for a stranger's life too. Michael's voice trembled as he stared out the rain-streaked window, the weight of every sleepless night pressing down on him. The silence that had swallowed their home wasn't just absence, it was a living, choking darkness that threatened to erase every memory of joy, every hope for tomorrow. His heart was raw, torn between grief, guilt, and a desperate longing to fix what had been broken. He wondered, how does a man rebuild a family from ashes when the pieces keep slipping through his fingers, when every attempt to reach his son feels like screaming into a void? Tonight, everything would change. A secret he's kept buried deep is about to surface, one that will force him to confront the darkest parts of his past and make a choice that could either shatter their fragile new beginning or save them all. Stay with us, because the next moments will break your heart, challenge everything you think you know about family, and leave you breathless. This is not just a story about loss. It's about the fierce, raw fight to reclaim love when it feels utterly lost. Michael Thompson's house was eerily silent, the kind of silence that felt heavy, almost suffocating. In the once lively kitchen where laughter and the smell of pancakes used to fill the air, now everything was frozen in time. The countertops sparkled with cleanliness, the dishes stacked neatly, but the warmth that once lived here had vanished. Michael stood in the doorway, his eyes scanning the emptiness, feeling the weight of loss press down on him. His wife Emily had been gone for months now, and with her went the light that brightened his son Ethan's eyes. Ethan sat on the edge of his bed upstairs, his small shoulders hunched as if carrying the burden of the world. He wore the same striped shirt he always did, a comfort from a time when life was simpler. But those days felt like a lifetime ago. The boy barely spoke, rarely looked up, and laughter had become a stranger in their home. Michael's heart clenched every time he saw his son retreat further into silence. He tried calling him down for breakfast, but Ethan's eyes flickered briefly before dropping back to the floor. Downstairs, the routine was robotic. Michael poured 2 cups of coffee, one for himself, and the other untouched, a ritual he hadn't skipped since Emily's passing. He prepared breakfast, watching Ethan nibble on his food as if every bite was a victory over his grief. The silence stretched between them, thick and unyielding. At work, Michael buried himself in spreadsheets, emails, and meetings. The corporate world was a place where problems had solutions, deadlines could be met, and success was measurable. But at home, he was failing the one person who mattered most. His son was disappearing before his eyes, and no amount of money or power could bring him back. One chilly Saturday morning, the city's sky was an unbroken canvas of blue, the kind Emily loved. The park where they had spent countless afternoons, the Green Lake Park, beckoned with the promise of fresh air and memories. Michael had avoided it, afraid the ghosts of the past would overwhelm him, but today something inside him snapped. He needed to try again. He found Ethan sitting on the living room couch, staring blankly at the turned-off television. "Let's go to the park," Michael said softly. Ethan looked up, confused by the unfamiliar suggestion, but nodded slowly. The car ride was quiet, but the silence felt different, tinged with a fragile hope. At Green Lake, families spread blankets on the grass, children's laughter ringing through the air. Michael watched as Ethan's steps faltered, hesitant to join the lively world around him. Then out of nowhere, a small figure burst onto the scene, a little girl no older than Ethan with dirt-smudged cheeks, tangled blonde hair, and a bright pink shirt faded from many days in the sun. She approached them boldly as if she owned the place. "Hi, I'm Lily," she said, hands on hips, eyes sparkling with mischief and warmth. Michael tensed, wary of strangers. Ethan usually shrank away from anyone new, but Lily looked like a spark in the dull gray of their lives. "I can make him smile," Lily declared to Michael with unexpected confidence. "If I do, will you give me a sandwich?" Michael blinked, caught off guard by the child's straightforward deal. He laughed bitterly. After months of therapists, medications, and endless attempts, the idea that this scruffy little girl could do what he couldn't was almost laughable. "Fine," he said, "but I doubt you'll succeed." Lily knelt beside Ethan and began to tell a story, a ridiculous tale about a clumsy frog who dreamed of being a ballet dancer. She didn't just tell it, she performed it. She hopped, stumbled, made exaggerated faces, and stumbled again dramatically. Ethan's eyes flickered with interest, and then something miraculous happened. A tiny chuckle escaped him. Then another louder until finally he erupted into a full laugh, a pure, unguarded laugh that Michael hadn't heard in 8 months. The sound hit Michael like a thunderclap. His throat tightened. Tears blurred his vision. For the first time since Emily's death, hope stirred in his chest. But the story didn't end there. As Lily continued to playfully animate the story, Michael noticed Ethan reach for a crayon and start drawing on a scrap of paper. His first drawing in months, a bright, clumsy picture of a frog in a tutu. Michael's heart ached with a mixture of pain and pride. And then the biggest shock, Michael learned Lily, too, was a child with scars. She confided that she had lost her mother and was living alone, finding refuge in the park and in small acts of kindness from strangers. Her resilience and courage struck a deep chord in Michael. Here was a little girl damaged but fiercely alive, offering to heal his son's broken spirit, even as she struggled with her own. Michael was faced with a choice. Could he open his heart and home to this unexpected guardian angel? Could he trust a stranger with his son's fragile hope? The answers weren't clear, but the seed of a new family had been planted. As the sun dipped low, Michael drove Ethan and Lily home, a silence filled with possibilities. The house still felt vast and empty, but tonight the shadows seemed a little less dark. Thank you all for bearing with us as we pause here. This story is far from over. What would you do if a stranger appeared and offered to heal your broken heart? Let us know in the comments, and if this story touched you, please like and share to keep the hope alive. The days that followed brought a strange new rhythm to Michael Thompson's home, a rhythm that was both fragile and electrifying. Lily's presence was like a sudden breeze stirring the dust in a long-abandoned room, waking it from its stale silence. Ethan, who had retreated so deeply into himself, began to change in small but profound ways. The vacant stare softened. The once empty house now echoed with small bursts of laughter and whispered conversations. But beneath these hopeful signs, a storm was quietly gathering. Michael watched with a mixture of awe and anxiety as Lily wove herself into their lives. She wasn't just a visitor. She was becoming a catalyst, a force that pulled Ethan back from the edge of his grief. He saw the way Ethan's eyes lit up when they built tiny fairy houses out of sticks and stones in the backyard, the way his laughter became less guarded, more genuine. But the reality of Lily's situation weighed heavily on Michael's mind. A 5-year-old girl living without a home, without the stability that every child deserves. How long could he protect her from the harshness lurking just outside his door? One afternoon, the clouds darkened suddenly as Michael and Lily made their way through the bustling city streets to a local shelter. Lily's clothes were tattered, her shoes worn thin, and her small frame trembled in the crisp air. Michael's heart clenched, torn between the desire to shield her and the bitter truth that the world was far from safe. The shelter was crowded, chaotic, a stark contrast to the pristine order of Michael's mansion. Here, faces were marked by hardship, stories of loss whispered in every corner. Lily clung tightly to Michael's hand, her wide eyes searching his face for reassurance. When a sharp cough racked her tiny body, panic surged through Michael like a wildfire. He knew she couldn't endure another night in the cold, exposed and vulnerable. This moment forced him to confront a terrifying reality. He had to do more than offer fleeting kindness. He had to fight for her safety and for a future that included both Lily and Ethan. Back home, tension simmered beneath the surface. Michael struggled with his own demons, guilt over the past, fear of failing again, and the crushing weight of responsibility. He was a man accustomed to control, yet here he was grappling with uncertainties that no business deal could prepare him for. His nights were restless, haunted by visions of his son slipping further away and the fragile thread of hope unraveling. Meanwhile, Ethan surprised him again. One evening, as they sat in the dim glow of the living room, Ethan's small voice broke the silence. "Can Lily stay with us? Like, really stay?" The question hung in the air, heavy with the unspoken longing of a child desperate for connection. Michael's heart wavered. The choice was no longer theoretical. It was real and immediate. Could he open his home, fully risking upheaval and judgment, to embrace this unexpected family? As Michael wrestled with his fears, Lily revealed a strength that belied her years. When social workers questioned her about her repeated escapes from foster homes, she spoke with unwavering resolve. "This park is my home," she said simply. "It's the only place I feel safe." Her honesty pierced through the bureaucratic indifference, compelling Michael to stand firmer in his commitment. The story took a dramatic turn one rainy night. Michael received a call from the hospital. Lily was admitted with hypothermia, found shivering beneath the same old tree where she and Ethan had first met. The news hit like a thunderclap, shattering the fragile peace. Racing through soaked streets, Michael arrived to find Lily pale but fighting. The sight ignited a fierce protectiveness he hadn't known he possessed. In that sterile hospital room surrounded by beeping machines and whispered prayers, Michael vowed to never let her face such danger again. This crisis became the catalyst for change. Michael began the legal process to formally adopt Lily, but the path was fraught with challenges. The system was slow, suspicious of his motives, and skeptical of the sudden transformation in his family life. At work, pressure mounted as he balanced board meetings with court hearings, his mind fractured between spreadsheets and bedtime stories. Throughout it all, Ethan's innocence forced Michael to confront what truly mattered. One evening, Ethan whispered a wish that stunned his father. "I want Lily to be my sister." The words struck a chord deep inside Michael's soul, crystallizing the choice before him. Success and money could never replace the family they were rebuilding. As the second part of this journey closes, Michael stands at a crossroads, his heart torn, but hopeful. The path ahead is uncertain, lined with bureaucratic hurdles and personal fears, yet also lit by the promise of healing and belonging. We pause here to ask you, if you were in Michael's shoes, torn between a demanding career and the fragile hope of a new family, what would your choice be? How far would you go to save the people you love? Thank you for staying with us through this part of the story. If it has moved you, please show your support by liking and sharing. Your encouragement keeps these stories alive and helps us continue to bring you moments of hope and humanity. The storm that had been quietly building finally broke, but not with destruction. Instead, it unleashed a flood of healing that washed over Michael, Ethan, and Lily, mending the fragile threads of their broken lives. After months of uncertainty, courtroom battles, and emotional turbulence, a new chapter was about to begin, one filled with hope, family, and love reborn. The day of the adoption hearing dawned crisp and bright in Seattle. Michael stood outside the courthouse, his palms sweaty but his heart steady. He glanced down at Ethan, who clutched Lily's hand tightly. The boy's eyes, once dulled by grief, now sparkled with a cautious optimism. Lily, with her small frame and mischievous grin, was the glue holding them together. Inside the sterile courtroom, the judge listened intently as Michael spoke candidly about the journey he and his children had endured. He didn't paint a perfect picture. He confessed to past mistakes, admitted to being lost in grief, and acknowledged the long road ahead. But above all, he spoke of his commitment to be the father they deserved. The judge's gaze softened as she nodded, moved by the sincerity and strength in Michael's voice. As the gavel came down, confirming Lily's official place in their family, a wave of relief and joy crashed over them all. For the first time in a long time, Michael felt whole again. He looked at Ethan and Lily, and the three of them smiled a smile that promised new beginnings. Back home, the transformation was tangible. The once quiet and empty house blossomed into a lively, loving home. Walls that had been bare were now adorned with colorful drawings, scenes of fairy tale castles, bustling parks, and most importantly, a family standing together beneath a bright sun. The fridge was plastered with reminders of laughter and milestones, Ethan's first soccer goal, Lily's favorite storybook, and countless sticky notes of encouragement. Every morning began with the cheerful chaos of breakfast preparation. Lily and Ethan wore matching aprons, hers pink with unicorns, his blue with superheroes, as they scrambled eggs and toasted bread, filling the kitchen with the kind of joyful noise that Michael had forgotten existed. He joined in without hesitation, laughter bubbling from deep within as he juggled spatulas and wiped flour off his shirt. The garden, once neglected, became a secret haven. Together, they planted sunflowers and daisies, their roots symbolizing the new life taking hold within their family. Lily's favorite spot was beneath the old maple tree, where she had built her first fairy house. Now it was the site of countless stories, games, and whispered dreams shared under the dappled sunlight. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in hues of lavender and gold, Michael sat on the porch swing with Ethan and Lily beside him. The three watched fireflies dance between the trees, their soft glow mirroring the light growing in their hearts. Lily leaned her head on Michael's shoulder, and Ethan nestled close, their presence a balm to years of pain. In this peaceful moment, Michael pulled a worn letter from his pocket, the last letter Emily had written before her sudden passing. His voice trembled as he read aloud her words of faith and love, a promise that their family would find its way back to joy. Tears welled up as he looked at his children, realizing that Emily's wish was being fulfilled right before his eyes. But the journey had not been without its shadows. Michael knew that scars run deep and healing is never linear. There were days when silence returned, when grief threatened to pull them under. Yet with Lily's fierce spirit and Ethan's growing courage, the family faced these challenges hand in hand. Through every hurdle, Michael learned to listen, to truly hear his children's fears and dreams. He learned that love is not always loud or perfect, but it is steadfast and forgiving. And most importantly, he discovered that family is not just about blood, but about the hearts willing to hold on. As the seasons changed, so did the Thompsons. They celebrated birthdays with homemade cakes and surprise parties. They took weekend trips to the coast where Lily chased seagulls and Ethan built sandcastles. Each moment was a stitch in the tapestry of their new life, vibrant and full. Now as the story draws to a close, the house that once echoed with silence resounds with love. Michael watches his children play in the yard, their laughter ringing like music. He smiles knowing that the darkest nights had given way to the brightest dawns. This is not just a story about loss and pain. It is a testament to resilience, to the power of hope, and to the miracles that happen when hearts open to love again. Before we end, I'd love to hear from you. What part of Michael, Ethan, and Lily's journey touched you the most? Have you ever experienced a moment where hope unexpectedly returned during the darkest times? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved, you show your support by commenting. Number 3, if you feel there's room for improvement, comment number 1. And if you think it was just okay, comment number 2. Let us know which country you're watching from. We love hearing from you all. Don't forget to like, heart, and share this video so more people can experience this powerful story of healing and family. Thank you for being part of this journey.